Hi, Ms. Gorman here. Let's talk about slope today. Okay, slope is also known as rise over run, or your change in y over your change in x. So let's look at our paper here. Slope, if your change in y, so your change in y is being divided by your change in x. Of course, change means the difference. So you're actually subtracting your y's over subtracting your x's. So you would get a formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1, all divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So that's your formula. In calculus, we actually write this as delta y over delta x, but it's your change in y over your change in x. Now, there's four types of slope that we need to discuss. First of all, again, slope is just kind of the angle in which the line is going. So if you have a positive slope, if you graph an xy axis, a positive slope is a line, it's going to rise from left to right. So it might look something like this. So this line has a positive slope. If your line has a negative slope, that means it's going to fall from left to right. So it's going to go down. Okay, so we'll draw a line that has a negative slope. It may look something like this. All right, and then you also have a zero slope. And the last two are the ones that people get confused on. Remember, slope is your rise. We can think of it as rise over run. Rise means the line is going up or down compared to the run, which is going left or right. So zero, the only way to get the number zero is if you have zero on the top. So it means it's not rising at all, but it has to have run. So if it has zero slope, that means the line is horizontal. And you'll recognize it because in an equation, you won't have x's and y's. You'll just have y equals some number value. Okay? And then the last one is when your slope is undefined. And again, we're looking at an xy axis. Of course, that's the y-axis. Here's your x-axis. An undefined slope means that your fraction's undefined. And the only way a fraction is undefined is when you have zero in the denominator. So that means the run part is zero. It's not going left or right. It's only going up or down. So it may look something like this. A vertical line has undefined slope. And you would recognize that equation because the equation won't have an x and a y in it. It will just have an x equals a number. So that's how you can tell the four types of slope. Now, in order to write the equation of any kind of line, you're going to need slope. And in college algebra, you have to know about equations of lines. So let's practice finding slope. Let's say that we have the point, let's say -1, 3, and also the point, we'll say 2, 4. And we're going to find the slope between these 2 points. Okay, so first of all, we're going to write down our formula. Remember, m represents slope. We're going to subtract our y's over subtracting our x's. Now, the thing about your subtraction of your y's and x's, you just need to be consistent. Normally, when I have 2 ordered pairs, I let my first set represent x sub 1, y sub 1, and my second set of ordered pairs represent my x sub 2, y sub 2. So if I was going to follow this formula, I'm going to subtract these y's. I'm going to say 4 minus 3 on top. And on the bottom, I'm going to subtract my x's in the same order. 2 minus a -1. And then we're going to reduce that. 4 minus 3 is 1. 2 minus -1 is the same thing as 2 plus 1, which is 3. So my slope is 1/3. Now, let's look at what happens when we graph these 2 points and connect them. Okay, so if I go to the point -1, +3, and also to the point 2, 4, Okay, and then we can connect these. I'm going to use a straight edge. All right, so when we say the slope is 1/3, that really just means this is my rise, and since it's positive, that means it goes up, and this is my run, and again, it's positive, so it goes to the right. So if I start at one point, I can rise 1 unit, and I can run to the right 3 units, and it gives me more points on my line. See here, I could go up 1, right 3, and I'm back on my line again. Or I could even think of that as a -1 over -3, because -1 over -3 also is 1/3. But if I use my slope as -1, that means I'm going to go left 1, or excuse me, down 1, and then left 3. See, I've got another point on there. So rise over run, down 1, left 3, and gives me another point on the line. Okay, so that's our slope.